How is it, bro? Hey, I'm looking for a journalist. She's named Maddie Boone. You would not forget her, bro. How's it, China? What are you doing here in the war zone? First they said no documentary crews out here, huh? Well, come on, bro. Let's go. Come on. Yeah. Gentlemen and ladies, welcome back to the Executive Outcomes channel. I'm your host, Talking Navigator. Today we're going back over my Blood Diamond Car-15, and you're wondering, hey, why are you doing a video you already did? Well, when we initially did the Blood Diamond Car-15 video, that was at the very beginning of the YouTube channel. And I wanted to come back and revisit because we didn't necessarily plan on the success of this channel that it was, which is pretty cool. I'm very grateful, and thank you. So you guys have a lot of faith in the channel and investing your time, because your most precious asset is your time. So the fact that you watch these videos for even like 10 seconds is impressive to me, because that's 10 seconds of something else you could be doing with your life besides watching some idiot on YouTube. So I figured we'd do a little bit higher quality version of the video, and the video is probably one of my second most successful videos on YouTube. So Blood Diamond Car-15, why did I make a clone of a movie gun that only appears and is like used for like 15 seconds? Hey, I don't know, I can't tell you. I just knew that I saw it and they connected with me, and I had to send it. So built a movie gun clone that's used by the guy that dies in Titanic, who also dies in Blood Diamond, we think. I don't know, you don't really see him die. You know, they could get up to him and maybe press his wounds and treat him, but whatever. getting too deep into the weeds. Real quick, we'll go over the build list of this, and I'm not gonna go too crazy in depth, just the general overview. So if you follow me on Instagram, I have a fact in my highlights, frequently asked questions, put the fact in my highlights of the gun. So disclaimer, this isn't a perfect one-to-one clone. There are guys I've seen out there that have made probably a better clone than I, but this one is missing a few things, and it has things on there that doesn't make it necessarily a perfect clone. I have to say these in preference and just kind of safeguard myself, because it shirks me of any responsibility of the clone army coming and autistically screeching my door down. So you have to realize where I'm getting at. It's just for my own safety, for not getting crucified. So real quick, so going down the gun, we'll go we'll do the Grantham method. We'll go tip to butt. So this is a Colt 607 moderator. This was made by Retro Gun Works and their machine shop. So what's wrong about this? Well, in the movie, after talking to a lot of guys on the interwebs, essentially the consensus is that this moderator has to be longer, okay? So this is a little bit shorter than what it probably should be, and I don't know if maybe it's accentuated by the improper placement of the Surefire 660. I know we're really nerding out right now. If you just came for a little bit of gun porn, then hey, welcome. But we're getting into the technicality aspect of the build. So this moderator is a little bit too short. It functions pretty well. I think it mitigates recoil. I mean, it's a 5.56, so it's not, the recoil is not bad. I mean, so it should be longer, is what I'm trying to say.
That's what she said.
It's a quick, easy fix. You just go to a machine shop, get the right threads, and then you have them make a longer moderator. Might look a little bit goofier, but you'll be fine. So Surefire, this is the Surefire 660. It has probably a little bit different of a ring back here as opposed to the normal Surefire 660 in the movie. I have the Surefire 660, I have several other Surefire 660s. This one just originally was part of the build. When I built this over a year ago now, this was the only Surefire 660 I got my hands on. I have since then, of course, like I said, gotten more, but I haven't swapped them out because I'm lazy. And this is held on by a weaver mount. Now, fun fact, this bracket part right here that attaches the barrel, because I've been asked about that, and rightfully so it's good to address this. This weaver mount right here, they're hard to find. The legit weaver mounts are hard to find. And to get it in here, you have to grind it down. So we used a Dremel. So we used a Dremel to grind it down. Now, so this part right here is actually a cheap knockoff weaver mount from like Amazon. The reason we did that is because I didn't want to go full send on this on my OG weaver mount. Now, what's connected to the flashlight right here, this is a weaver mount, but this part right here is not. So I still have the OG weaver mount in case I wanted to grind that down with the Dremel, but this is just the aluminum knockoff Amazon part. It's actually held up pretty solid. I haven't had any complaints with it yet. I can maybe feel maybe loosen up a little bit, but that's after over a year of no maintenance to it, of no maintenance, but as in not tightening it down. So not too mad at it. You can do these things on a semi budget or save some parts if you want to not totally deface a hard to find part, if that makes any sense. Because typically if you're going to find a legit weaver mount that goes to the barrel for this type of retro clones, they're going to be hard to find, and they're usually only in conjunction with the actual flashlight. Okay, so if you hit up eBay, there's probably still Surefire 660s on eBay you can find. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but the flashlight placement is also a little off. Now the reason is, if you look in the movie, and I can maybe throw some B-roll of Leonardo DiCaprio putting down some scunion, but if you look in the movie, you'll see that the Surefire 660 is actually moved all the way back down. Now I had some issues with moving it all the way down with the handguard. Maybe it's the angle of where it is underneath the barrel, but it was bumping down in the handguard and I couldn't get it down and seated all the way proper. If you got really close in there, you can see that we dremeled out underneath the skinny car guard, or the skinny handguard, to get some more space, but this wasn't happening. So I'll revisit that, maybe dial in that problem later. So that's one thing you'll notice, that this is actually moved too far forward, but that was out of necessity of being blocked by the handguard. These the handguards are the Brownells, the skinny handguards. I see people when they run the retro handguards, they'll get sometimes the fat handguards. Yeah, you can do it. It is, to me, it looks goofy. Like, the skinny handguards are where it's at, and these are probably not even as OG as they get. So, oh well, you win some, you lose some. Barrel length's gonna be a 10.5 barrel, by the way. I would rather have 10.5 over 10.3, but then I'd rather have 11.5. But 10.5 is what I believe is correct per the movie. So addressing this as well, so a lot of people will reach out and be like, hey, the same armor that worked on Black Hawk Down also worked on Blood Diamond. I'm sure I haven't done that much research on that aspect particular. I don't know the armorer's name who worked on the movie or not, but I wouldn't doubt it just due to the similarities of the build. Even though in Black Hawk Down, the Gordon rifle is actually, that should have been the more retro A1 or the C7 upper with the other parts, and I believe they used an A2 upper in the movie as opposed to what it would have been in real life, which I wouldn't doubt, because in Blood Diamond they of course have the A2 rear sight. So moving on to the rear sight and the carry handle setup. So this lower is a Form 1 lower. No, I'm not going to show you my tax stamp papers because f you, and but I had to pay the $200 tax stamp because I love my dog more than I love the idea of losing my dog. That makes sense? What this upper is so the upper is a Colt upper, but the lower is a BCM lower. So at the time of making this, I didn't have a proper retro lower. We can address this real quick. I didn't have a proper retro lower, but I was like so in the zone of wanting to build this gun that I was like, I'll form one, my BCM lower, and just have it ready to go, and I can use it with other firearms. And then I have the 10.5 upper ready to go once that Form 1 got approved. Thanks, Uncle Sam, for my God-given rights. But yet again, if you're gonna make a YouTube channel, don't document your felonies. Do everything above the belt. Life pro tip, Aimpoint Pro. So this is an Aimpoint Pro. You can find these floating around the interwebs, of course. Just depends on the price. Was that bugging you? A little bit. Great optic. These optics are really bomb-proof. I love the Aimpoint series of optics, and of course their Pro is no different. It's just like, it's a tank, man. Ooh, I probably shouldn't bump the camera. But the Aimpoint Pro is a tank. It is a solid optic. Now, the mounting system. So, yet again, another hard thing about doing a retro build is finding legit retro parts. So, in the movie, if you reference it on the gun, they're using an Aimpoint mounting system, okay? So, this should be the 30mm mounting. If it's wrong, then I may have to do the asterisk in there in post, but it should be, if I remember right, it should be the 30mm. Now, this is, you can do Vortex. I didn't do Vortex at the time. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm retarded. But this is a primary arms mounting system. It's the lowest one you can go. You'll notice that I'll see other guys on the internet, they'll send me their clones, and I appreciate you sending me those. I really do. I like looking at guns. And But the problem is that their mounting bracket will be a little bit too high, and you don't necessarily want that. You want it to be as low to the gun as possible. And so the primary arms, though it's a little bit cheaper of a mounting system, it actually still has surprisingly held up. So that's a nice surprise. It's been pretty rugged, pretty foolproof. I haven't noticed any shift and zero from the gun, so cool. Of course, if I can source an actual aim point mount, then I'd rather go with that. When you mount stuff to a gun, of course, what you're doing is you're essentially fighting the vibration of the gun and the recoil. So adding a little Loctite here and there to important stuff is beneficial. As of course, if you want to do this, it's your gun, dude. It's your prerogative. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just a dude on the internet. So you have the A1 OG grip, as well as, I think I got this from a local gun shop here in AZ. Skinny stock. So you have the Car-15 retro stock. I actually really like these style of stocks. I like a little bit of a lower profile butt stock. And of course got this bag boy from Brownells. So real quick, addressing certain things that I get asked a metric ton on the internet, on Instagram. Things as, hey, does the pressure pad melt when you have it up there? No, I haven't noticed any issues. Then again, I haven't done, I haven't used this or ran this Blood Diamond gun in, say, like a carbine class. So the more, of course, you train with your guns, you'll notice the nuances and their flaws. But as far as me, like when 5.56 was more available like a year ago, when I was building this, I was running a little bit more, and I didn't notice any issues with the heat and the pressure pad, right? So it's been good there. Mounting, I doubt, in the movies they technically didn't use Ranger bands to mount, but in real life it's just so convenient, and they're kind of foolproof for the most part, as long as they don't get snagged up or cut up. So mounting, I mounted the Ranger band, and in the movie I believe they probably just did a sticky pad because I didn't see any duct tape. Now, 550 cord for a sling retention up here. So this is just a little canteen sling. You can find these. I actually, funny enough, bought these slings from Amazon. Technically speaking, what you'd want to do is probably more so run the string through the sling loop back here, but I have it on the hooks just for convenience and storage. I believe there's gonna be a carbine buffer tube in there. I might swap it out for something a little bit different, and then a carbine length gas system over here. So, and then the bolt carrier is actually gonna be a BCM bolt carrier, because why not? It's modern parts, you can get a little bit longer reliability out of that. So I ain't mad at it. Of course, if I could go back and change anything, I'd probably get a more retro correct lower. Maybe swap out the flashlight for the correct bezel head, move it back, and then get a correct aim point mount. Paint job. So I forgot to go over the paint job. So good question about paint job. So yes, painting your guns, very fun. Now, doing the correct paint job on this, I tried to eyeball it as much as I could on the movie, like down to the angling of the spray marks. God, it sounds so dumb. So try to dial it in, like where the black streaks are and all the close-ups of the movie. Hopefully when I add the footage from the movie in the shots from the movie, it'll look like good, you know what I mean? So whatever. So essentially the paint we used was Arvo. The colors I believed I used was jungle green, OD green, tan, and then black. So pretty basic color scheme. And I started out with tan and then worked in the lighter colors and then add the blacks here and there. So all in all, I think the paint job looks good, and it's actually wearing away nicely now. So certain parts like the hand guard are getting nice and worn, as well as other parts where it comes into contact with gear more so. All right, so I don't know why my attachment to Blood Diamond is so deep. Not deep, but I just enjoy the movie so much. Maybe more so the historical context and the character arc and the character development of Danny Archer, going from main focus of becoming rich and getting off the continent to, as well as you know, giving that diamond over to Solomon Vandy and completing that character arc to this good family man, as opposed to this guy who just cares about himself. Of course, you have Jennifer Connelly, who's a smoke show, and then you have the very fun historical context of executive outcomes. That's not executive outcomes in the movie, but you have, they're kind of painted in a bad light too, but whatever, that's Hollywood. And then you have the historical context of Danny Archer, who being born in Rhodesia and then fighting in the South African Army. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of that fun political history that's not really known and talked about in American history. Like, when I was growing up, they never really covered South Africa's history. The military history is, of course, where the interest comes from in itself, because you have probably pound for pound some of the best fighters in the world when it comes to the Bush War fighters and the stuff they were doing. So just fighting communism, as well as the tactics they learned would have bled into other militaries around the world. So it's a lot of interesting stuff going on, right? So I don't know, maybe this was one of the reasons the movie stuck. And then the retro build, the carry handle build, all of the aesthetic. I mean, all that stuff together is just so good. The thing, of course, I'm missing is definitely that USP compact. You gotta give me one of those. Another question I get asked: how do I source these parts? Where can I find these parts? Well, hey, Google exists. The internet exists. I'm not your search engine. So people ask me all these in-depth questions. For certain things that if you can't Google, then I understand when you ask people on Instagram, but for the most part, realize most people on social media are still dumb, so take that into account, including me mostly. So there are some very, very smart people out there, but there's a lot of idiots. I'm one of them. Gentlemen, hey, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Your comments are a sacrifice to the YouTube gods and the deities that are of the YouTube Olympus. So, helps out a lot. If you want to support the channel financially in any way, shape, or form, go ahead and buy a shirt. There's a link to the description down below to my Shopify account, as well as Patreon. If you want to support the channel, Patreon's a big one. I release videos early to Patreon supporters, as well as do giveaways, stuff like that. Link down in the description down below. Life pro tip: if you don't want to get bitten by rattlesnakes, don't mag dump into trash out in the desert. We were moving some trash out of the way, and as I lifted up as Cameron lifted up a piece of garbage, there was a rattlesnake in the way, all coiled up, doing its thing. Left that guy alone because, hey, if I was approached by two giants when I was trying to sleep and they shot me with a Glock, I'd be pretty pissed. So just let the snake do his thing. Live and let live. So just reshifted and moved down range because, hey, we're in his home, doing his thing. I'm trying to close the video, but thanks to TAT Targets, a little shout out to them because they hook up a lot of stuff with the channel. We're able to not mag dump in the trash in the desert. So don't litter, pick up your trash. It's the right thing and the not shithead thing to do. So, all right, you guys have a good one. I'll catch you all on the flip, and take it easy.